Let's go ahead and welcome back Austin Spurs Kaleb Johnson.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Everyone, on this special edition of Locked On Spurs, we have a very special guest. He is returning back to make a guest spot here. He is Kaleb Johnson of the Austin Spurs, brother of Spurs Keldon Johnson, and he'll be talking to us about his recent stint in Venezuela, returning back to Austin, what it means to be playing with the Austin Spurs and in the G League, and a big game in San Antonio as the Austin Spurs will take on the Swarm in just a few short days. So check out our exclusive interview with Kaleb Johnson. All right, so let's go ahead and bring in our special guest right here on Locked On Spurs. He is a veteran now of Locked On Spurs. He is Austin Spurs guard Kaleb Johnson, coming back to the show. Kaleb, how you been?
I've been good. I like the sound of that veteran right there. So yeah, I've been good.
Yeah, it's been a while since you popped on. I think the last time you were on, again, you're talking about about the Austin team and you joining But yeah, it's been a while, man. So
I think the first time we talked was maybe right before the bubble,
right?
Or
yeah.
after the. So it's been maybe 2.5 years now.
Yeah, it's been a while, but hey, look, I'm glad you're back. I think all the listeners are back, and we are happy to hear from you. So, what are we talking about today, everybody, with Kaleb? Well, we're going to be talking about him returning to Austin after a stint in Venezuela. We're going to get his thoughts on playing in a different country, a different team, adjusting to a different culture. And of course, coming back to Austin, how he's been progressing, and then into the big part of it, why you should be going to the game March 18th in San Antonio at the AT&T, as Kaleb and the Austin Spurs will take on the Swarm. We'll talk about that in a while and much more. So, Kaleb, not only is it welcome back to Locked On Spurs, it feels like it's welcome back to the Austin Spurs. Yeah, it is. You started your pro career after Georgetown with Austin. Yep. And then you decided to go to Venezuela. You signed a deal with the Venezuelan team. Take us through that process. Why did you opt for that, I guess, direction in your pro career?
It was just kind of going back and forth with my agent a little bit. I was telling him kind of what I was looking for, and he was telling me the market that was out there. We really just came together and came up with Venezuela, which I think was a great opportunity, and that's why I decided to make that leap overseas.
Yeah, and you definitely showed out for that Venezuela team. Put up some really impressive numbers. We'll get to that in a few seconds. But is it true what they say? Basketball knows no country, no land, or nothing. Did you feel any differences on the court? We'll talk about off the court in a while, but what about on the court, playing with new teammates and different people?
Definitely the competition was there. I'll start off by saying that the competition was definitely there. The basketball was great basketball, but it was some key differences. I'd say the biggest difference between, that's my situation in Venezuela and the G League was just playing with a little bit more mature guys, guys that had, history being over in Europe, G League, or, Asia, all these different countries, and they have all of this basketball experience. So that was probably the biggest difference. And
right.
I feel like it wasn't, and I might have said this before, but it wasn't like a big, it wasn't like an emphasis on like, oh, these guys are going to try to out jump you or, use that athleticism to beat you. It was more so they were really thinking the game of basketball at a high level.
You put up pretty good numbers there in Brazil. I'm sorry, in Venezuela. I believe you averaged double-figure scoring, about 17 points per game, 7 rebounds per game, 2 assists. You got really good minutes on that court, 28. Do you think that you needed to be surrounded perhaps by players that perhaps had a higher basketball IQ? If that makes sense to you, to learn from that? Because there is no doubt about your skill on the court. But maybe it was more of a refinement, retooling. Do you think that played a big part into it?
It was definitely. I think it was just like a different opportunity, a different challenge. I think coming from Austin, you have a role on the team, and you try to be a star in your role. But going over to Venezuela, I was expected, something totally
Mm-hmm.
different. So I think that was the biggest thing. Just it was a different opportunity, a different role, and it
Mm-hmm.
took a little bit of learning to adjust and figure out where I could get my shots. And coming into the games,
Mm-hmm.
defenses were focused on like, okay, how can we stop Kaleb Johnson? And
Mm-hmm.
that was the adjustment as well. So just going game for game, trying to do different things on the court, whether it be driving, attack, and
Mm-hmm.
posting up a little bit, just to get different looks. And I think that was probably the biggest difference.
You're playing in front of a different crowd. Is it true what they say, sometimes those foreign crowds, whether it be overseas in Europe or South America, as we've seen, they are passionate about their teams.
So passionate, so passionate. And they're passionate about the team, passionate about the players. I felt so much love out there.
Yeah.
The team I went to is definitely a family environment. I came in late. I
Mm-hmm.
came maybe like 5 games left in the regular season, and then we played the playoffs. But they embraced me. The fans
Mm-hmm.
embraced me. The team embraced me. My teammates. And it was the language barrier because I don't know Spanish, and I was trying my best to pick up on
Mm-hmm.
it. But everyone, really just kind of took me in and was like, because this is my first time overseas, so I'm kind of wide-eyed a little bit,
Yeah.
not knowing what to expect. But luckily, we had a group of older guys, like maybe 3 or 4 Americans besides
Mm-hmm.
me on the team, so that kind of helped a lot with the transition to going overseas and playing. So it was definitely a great experience.
You mentioned you had chats with your agent about making the leap to Venezuela. Did your brother Keldon Johnson, did you have any chats with him about making that decision? Maybe his thoughts, because people forget you and him started your pro careers. This is the NBA on the G League. Y'all both were in Austin,
Yeah.
to start everything. So, did you lean on him perhaps for some advice?
I think in general, I definitely not just him in particular, but
Mm-hmm.
any decision I like to make, I try to get my family's input on
Right.
it. So we definitely talk through things like that, the pros and cons. And I think everybody was just super supportive, and they wanted to
Mm-hmm.
see. It was just like I said earlier, it was just a new opportunity, a new challenge, and it was exciting. I was also nervous because like I never played out the country, so it was like it was all these things in one. But I think the most important thing, everybody was supportive and was like, man,
Right.
you go out there and do your thing.
We're talking with Kaleb Johnson. He is with the Austin Spurs, making his return right here on Locked On Spurs. And we're talking about his path from Georgetown to Venezuela and back to Austin. Kaleb, I got to ask you, you're not only did your basketball skills and, the numbers show it, we'll get to that in a while, spike, but your Spanish must have gotten a lot better in that short time you were there, huh?
I wish I could say that, but I was really trying, and I really tried my best to kind of immerse myself in the culture. But my teammates made it a point to try to teach me as much Spanish as possible. And I think if I was there a couple more months, I would have picked up a lot more because I was starting to be able
Right.
to kind of order food and different things like
Sure.
that, just kind of the necessities.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but it was I can't say that especially since I've been back, I haven't been using a bunch of Spanish. I can't say I picked up on that much.
Right. This episode of Locked On Spurs is brought to you by BetterHelp. Getting to know yourself can be a lifelong process, especially because we're always growing and we're always changing. Therapy is all about deepening your self awareness and understanding, because sometimes we don't want what we want. And why do we react the way we do until we talk through things? BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on that journey of self discovery from wherever you are. If you benefit from therapy, feel free to share your experience, whether or not you've been in therapy personally. It's good to talk about the broader benefits that, therapy can bring to you. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, suitable for your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/lockedonnba today. Get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedonnba. Right. Well, I'll give you a little trick, and just stop me if you heard this before. If you ever want to say that's just the way it is, just spell the word socks, and you're speaking Spanish. SOCKS. That's the way it is.
I never heard that. I appreciate that though.
Yeah. Just spell the word. Yeah. It's a little trick there if you ever need to get by.
Socks.
Yeah, just spell socks, and people think you're fluent in Spanish.
I should have talked to you before I went to Venezuela.
I know, right? Your brother or you should have called me and said, "Hey, give us a crash course." But your path in your pro career definitely, has seen different things. We're talking about your Venezuela experience. We mentioned that you started with the Austin Spurs in the G League. Yeah, your brother even started in the NBA with you in Austin. But now you're back. You're back.
Yep.
When you came back from Venezuela, how much more confidence did you have knowing that you had the Venezuela experience, you had previous experience with the Austin team, and then coming back again to Austin? You must have came in just raring to go.
Definitely came in with confidence just because like you've been through it before, and once you've been somewhere and you know the situation, like coming back to Austin almost felt like coming back home in a lot of ways. So
right.
I definitely had that confidence coming back, I would say.
Yeah. And you look at your 2021-22 stats when you started, you were at 6.1 points per game, 3 rebounds per game in 16 minutes. Not bad at all considering, you're diving in, but now you're seeing yourself spike a bit, You're at least have this chat right now. So they believe you're 6 games in this season. Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, about 15 minutes per game, nearly 7 points per game, and you're doing pretty well considering that you just went from literally one end of the country to another practically overnight. You look at the Austin team record wise, perhaps it could be better.
Yeah,
but you got a lot of guys out there that are hungry, and I think that's kind of like the main goal of the G League system is to get you guys primed and ready in case the big call comes, whether it be San Antonio calls you or Denver calls you or Miami calls Kaleb, whoever. Can you explain to the listener, to myself, just how important the G League is for you and all your other teammates and everybody else who's been through the system?
I think the G League is very essential. I think the most important thing, and like you said, with our team in Austin this year, the record isn't great, but one of the priorities of the G League is just to develop players. That's improving their game. And that important. Oh, they connect. I think that's the most important thing. And I can say for myself, just being from my time in the bubble to last year to coming back even this year, I can see certain parts of my game that have continued to improve. So that's one of the main emphasis of the G League, and every guy. And like you said, you got a lot of young guys. A lot of guys here are hungry. They wait on that call up, and I think as you continue to put that time in, you continue to develop as a player. That call will come.
Yeah, your brother this season, Keldon, he said to, after, I forget, it was either before or after a game. The point is that he did say, he goes, I give a ton of credit to the Austin Spurs. I mean, he made it very loud and clear that he goes, if it wasn't for them, he wouldn't be the player that he is now. And hopefully that'll be the same for you. It looks like that is your path. You're getting better, and little by little, every game, each and every game. Kaleb, we look at, the system you're talking about, the G League system, and the path that you're taking and others taking. You see guys like Dominic Barlow, who's now got the call up to San Antonio, Charles Bassey, got himself an NBA deal. Former teammates of yours within Austin, how much does that push you, to be in that position? And what do you have to say about them getting those call-ups?
Super proud of anybody. First of all, just super proud of anybody that's able to say, they're playing basketball, getting paid to play basketball. But get a call up to the NBA, that's amazing. Once in a lifetime type of experience. And these guys work their whole life for that opportunity. But I'll say just I think everybody has their own path. So seeing those guys do that, I'm definitely happy. But I know my route might be a little different. So I, use it as motivation. Definitely continue to work hard, but um, I realize that, my situation is different from a lot of guys, and I just focus on making myself the best player possible each and every day.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's just the thing of life. You just try to be the best person you can be, whether it be in a basketball field or in a courthouse as an attorney or the doctor or a journalist. You just got to get better each and every day. Like Caleb, we're talking about the season so far, which the record's not that great, but there's a lot of bright spots. From your play to seeing Barlow get the call up, and you guys are still in games. How would you assess the season right now? And if we put away the negatives about the record, it looks like just individually, everybody's making strides in Austin, and at least you guys are still competing for 48 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned earlier, I think, and I only been here, a couple weeks now, but from what I can see, man, the guys are super hungry to just improve. And you can see it if you're here like day to day at practices, shoot around, things like that. They want to put in the extra work. They want to watch extra film and different things like that. So I think that's, one of the, you kind of look to that. So even though the
Mm-hmm.
record might be great, you say, man, these guys, even, we might not, I don't know if we're out of the playoffs, but it's not looking, great right now.
Right, right, right.
That says a lot about the team we have and the coaching staff and just the organization in general.
What has head coach for the Austin Spurs have been telling you since you've been back? What type of feedback are you getting from them and just the coaching staff in general?
I think coach just kind of, and I would say this just in general, just everybody was kind of happy to, see me come back. It wasn't more so like, we want to see you do this or that. It was like,
Mm-hmm.
man, just kind of that smile, that hug. I'm gonna play my game and try my best to do the best I can out on the floor. But it wasn't more so like, all right, Caleb, you get here, you got to do this, that.
Right, right, right,
Man, like, happy to have you back. Welcome back. It was that
right.
type of, yeah.
Yeah, they definitely say that the Spurs organization, is a family, and you were just hearing it right now from your lips. Say welcome back. I mean, this is what it
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
Not necessarily okay. You're back now. I mean, obviously you're gonna have to get to work. We
yeah,
get that. That's
exactly.
part of the deal. But
Yeah.
it wasn't just all about work. And I'm glad everybody was happy for you. I bet you, your brother, the rest of the Johnson family were just happy to see you come back from Venezuela, huh? This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. It's way past the midway point of the NBA season, but it's still the perfect time to download America's #1 sports book. That is FanDuel. Because new customers get a no sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app, safe, secure, super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from the money line to point scores to even threes drained. You can even bet on things like the first 2 3-pointers made in the first 3 minutes. You can have a lot of fun using FanDuel. FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with same game parlay. So don't miss out your chance to get yourself the no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to fanduel.com/locked on. That is fanduel.com/locked on to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Yeah, yeah, and they were happy to see me come back, but they were happy with the performance
Yeah.
I put out there as well. Because at the end of the day, it was a great opportunity, a great experience. It was an opportunity for me to kind of be put in a bigger role and show what I can do, and I think I was able to do that. So I think the family, talking to my brother, my mom, dad, they were just super happy that I was able to kind of go down there and like prove myself a little bit. So and coming back, they were super excited as well because I like to look at it like you always are grateful to, get that call to go play. So wherever it
Mm-hmm.
might be, you're happy to be able to kind of put that jersey on again. I don't take that for granted.
Yeah, I can imagine. I meant to ask this earlier when we were talking about your Venezuelan stint, but before I forget again, what do you think was your most memorable moment out in Venezuela on the court? Was it a dunk? Was it a game? Was it
So
maybe a fast break? Like, what was it?
it would probably be my first game in the playoffs against Tratamundos.
Mhm.
They were like heavily favored, and we actually was able to go to their home and win the first game of the playoffs. So
Right.
that was a great feeling because I don't think anyone familiar with the basketball over there expected us to go there because that team actually ended up winning the championship. So they was
Hmm.
like happy favorite, and we came in their house and stole the game. So that was a great feeling.
Nice.
Everybody was super happy. The coaches, the owner, they were all like super excited. That was a great feeling because you can see how brought in the guys are, the fans,
Hmm.
um, coaches, the owner is very like tight knit. So to be able to kind of get that game, it felt good.
Yeah, I bet that must have been a really, really, kind of a big moment you take away from your time in Venezuela to now in Austin and just moving forward in your pro career. Once again, we're talking with Kaleb Johnson, guard for the Austin Spurs, making his return visit right here on Locked On Spurs. We've been going over his journey from starting in Austin, from Georgetown to Venezuela and back. So, Kaleb, there's a big game ahead on the schedule for the Austin Spurs in San Antonio on March 18th. Big game, a chance for San Antonio people who don't get a chance to go to Cedar Park, see you guys in action. Y'all be taking on the Swarm. Tickets are still available. Why should fans in San Antonio check the Austin team out live and in person?
I think everyone knows that the San Antonio Spurs and the Austin Spurs have a pretty strong connection, and I think it will give fans a chance to see some of the younger guys that you'll possibly be able to see in a year or two
Hmm.
with the San Antonio Spurs. That's not a far reach, so it kind of gives you a chance to get a little early look at what the future roster might look like. And San Antonio is a city that, from my experience, loves basketball, so it gives you a chance to see a little bit of different basketball, but also good basketball as well.
Hmm.
So I think if anyone has the time, they should definitely come out and support. I think it'd be worth it.
As mentioned, tickets are still available to check out the Austin Spurs, Kaleb Johnson in action. I'm pretty sure your brother will be there cheering you on for that if they're not on the road. But there's going to be a lot of festivities there. There's going to be a lot of activities at the game. You definitely want to go check that out. I believe there will be even fireworks that night. Wow, look at it. They're rolling out the red carpet for you, Kaleb. Isn't that
Yeah,
awesome?
yeah, that's awesome, and I I think it's going to be a great time. I think it's really going to be a great time. It's going to be an event. We looking to come up there and put on a show. I know a lot of the guys on the team, they're super excited. These are one of the games you kind of highlight, one of the games you kind of circle because you get a chance to be in the Spurs where the Spurs play at the AT&T Center. So I know we're super excited to be going there. We're looking to go put on the show. I think it's going to be a great event.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be a fun time. I encourage everybody to head on out to the AT&T Center on March 18th as the Austin Spurs take on the Swarm out in San Antonio. Yeah, everybody go check it out. No excuse for you not to see Austin Spurs in action. And as mentioned, I'm pretty sure there'll be a lot of, if there's not a schedule between your brother and Barlow and Bassie, I'm pretty sure you'll probably see those guys out there as well. By the way, how great is it for you guys when you see ex Austin Spurs players make the trek to go check you guys out at Cedar Park? Your brother does it. I think DeJounte did it when he was here. Derek White did it. I mean, that must have been great for you guys.
Autobots, roll out.
All right. It is giveaway time right here on Locked On Spurs. They've been following me on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone. You know that this episode's giveaway is courtesy of San Antonio's water system. Yes, my saws for those in San Antonio. They graciously donated a set of their 2022-2020, just some really OG, really nice looking Fiesta medals. Now, for those who are not in San Antonio, these are basically just medals that you wear during Fiesta Week. And with Fiesta Week coming up, it is a perfect time to get these and wear them out and about in San Antonio. Quickly, you have to be in San Antonio to win this contest, and you will have to go pick up the Fiesta medals at My Saw's place of business. Whoever wins it, My Saws will get a hold of you, and they will tell you where to pick them up. And obviously, you got to be in San Antonio. So here are the contest rules. You want to, one, make sure that you're following me on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone. That's step 1. Step 2, you want to tweet at me, be the first one as well, and tag 3 other your friends and say that I, Jeff Garcia, provides the best Spurs coverage in San Antonio. Hashtag it por vida. Also tag my saws, which is at my SAWS, so at MYSAWS, and give them a shout out. Anything you want to say, make it water related. They'll love it. And by the way, these Fiesta medals look nice. One is a play on the Game of Thrones called Shame of Thrones, with a big dragon sitting on that Game of Thrones throne. And the other one is a play on Stranger Things. It's called Sewer Things, with a creature coming out of a toilet. They are really awesome. You got to check them out on my timeline at Jeff G Spurs Zone on Twitter. So one more time, follow me on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone. Tag 3 of your friends to follow me on Twitter, and then comment that I provide the best Spurs coverage in San Antonio. Hashtag por vida, and also tag my saws, which is at MYSAWS, and just give them a shout out and make it water related. They'll love it. Good luck, and let's get back to our chat with Kaleb Johnson.
Autobots, roll out.
Yeah, and that was kind of what I was speaking towards that connection. A lot of the guys that are on the Spurs currently, they have in some form, or way been through the Austin Spurs. So, so they know what it's like to be in the G League. They know the grind. So when they come back and support, it means a lot.
He is Kaleb Johnson with the Austin Spurs. Again, March 18th. Check him out at the AT&T Center as Austin takes on the Swarm. Kaleb, don't be a stranger. I don't like these two-year gaps. When you come on Locked On Spurs. It's funny, everybody. Before we hit record on this button, the Austin Spurs rep said, "Oh yeah, we informed Kaleb about hopping on a Locked On Spurs." Kaleb goes, "Oh Jeff, yeah, I've been there, done that." Look at Kaleb popping his collar already here, but Kaleb,
happy for you to have me back.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you're back. Hey, that's all that matters. But we are done talking. We want to hear from you. What do you think about the Austin Spurs this season? Are you be going to the March 18th game versus the Swarm at the AT&T? You can let us know on social media. Follow me on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone, and subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcast: Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes, and the Kens 5 Plus app. So for Kaleb Johnson, who knows how to speak Spanish by spelling socks out, SOCKS, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.
See you.